Hey guys, it's Ron Bass with another edition of Soar High Personal Development. Well, joining me today is our special guest, Michele Casteel. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes, sir.
Cool. Mother, daughter, martial artist. We trained together at Soar High Jiu-Jitsu, so that's pretty cool.
It is.
And she's also a big podcast person, so
I love podcasts.
cool. Who's over here? Oh, we've got Davin Hunley with an I, our producer extraordinaire and beat maker, and Mr. Brett Atterbury, marketing guru. So today, we're going to talk about relationships. Doesn't that sound interesting?
No. What kind of relationships?
Well, we're going to talk about all kinds of relationships. Good ones, bad ones.
Friendships.
Friendships.
Is this
Intimate
business?
relationships.
Personal. Okay.
Like romantic type, right?
Okay.
And we're going to talk about marriage. That's a whole nother animal. We're going to delve into that today. And we're going to talk about things like how come people don't want to be alone? How come people are so codependent? What's up with that? And why is it okay to be alone? How is it not okay to be comfortable with yourself, be comfortable in your own skin? I want to get into that. And so you get the idea. Codependency is a big problem, in my opinion. It can be a good thing, but it also can be a negative thing as well. So, okay, guys, what do you have to say about this topic? Relationships. Let's start with good relationships.
Go ahead,
Michele.
Go
Well,
ahead.
what kind of good relationship? Are we talking about good relationships with your friends, like your family, like a specific kind of
No, I
relationship?
think
or
just generally.
in general?
Yes. What makes a good relationship?
Communication.
Ah,
All
I like
relationships
that.
require communication.
Oh, yeah.
I like
I
that.
agree.
You can't
agree.
just be silent the whole time.
You were talking to me earlier about that sort of thing in a marriage. Go
Mhm.
ahead and expound upon that a little bit.
Oh, well, to have a successful marriage, in my opinion, is to be able to sit there and have comfortable dialogue with your partner. You can't just halfway say something. You have to be able to say, hey, you know what? I'm really uncomfortable with the way that you are talking about this subject matter. And that's your first, I'd say, good 10 years of marriage is just learning how to have that dialogue in a fair manner.
Have you been married 10 years?
No,
How long have you
I'm
been
not.
married?
I
We've
would
been
agree with that.
married-
Feels like 10 years, right?
Well, we've known each other
kidding.
since I was 16, 17.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we've known each other.
What are you, like
for-
22?
Oh, God, I wish. No, I'm 31.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
wow.
31. I got married when I was, 22, I think. I was
Well,
22.
you've been married 9 years then.
Yeah.
Might
Well,
as well
this will
say
be
10.
9 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So in April of 2022.
So what's a specific example of talking about communication? I mean, what would like something specifically bother you that you didn't want to talk about, but now you've learned that you have to talk about it, get it on the table and work through it?
Oh, any imperfections. So
Like give me an example of that.
well, we'll do a big one, cooking.
Cooking.
So like just cooking in general. Like I was not a huge great cook at the beginning, and my husband Jeremy was
Was
very
your mother a good cook?
well, not when they first got married. So
Really?
when my parents got married, as they're driving off to their honeymoon, my mom is in the front seat bawling her eyes out because she
Aw.
doesn't know how to boil water for hot dogs.
Oh my God.
Like that.
For real.
That's a good
Yeah.
story.
Oh, it's great. She had so many meltdowns on their honeymoon over cooking. I can think of 3 because she felt like that she was going to fail in that aspect of their marriage. She wasn't going to be able to cook for her husband. Well, she learned. My mom's a great cook. And then
How did she acquire that ability? What made that happen?
to become a good cook.
Yeah.
Betty
Oh.
Crocker.
Betty
Betty
Crocker. We had a
Crocker.
lot of Betty Crocker. A
Cookbooks.
lot. Yes.
Now
so many.
you've got the internet, but back then, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, if you can get through the people's life story to get to the recipe on the internet now, that would be great.
Yeah, that's true.
I can't. I'm I just want to know my ingredients and my time. I know.
So I'm going to
squirreling.
talk. My food blog today is about the recipe that I found for my instant pot chicken. It takes 3 minutes to do, but I'm going to have you read it for 15.
Yes, it drives me crazy.
I know. Trust me. I get that.
I'm just scroll through, and then as you're trying to scroll through, the ads take so long to load that you're just sitting there scrolling. And
Yep.
yeah, no, it's
Or you pass the ingredients and you're like, where the hell did it go?
yes.
Yep.
Cooking can be a challenge with the internet. I started writing them down.
How important do you
And then
think
putting
it
them in.
is in a relationship, in a marriage, that the cooking is how important is that
Oh.
to both the husband and the wife?
Well, the meal. So
Like in my case, I just go out and eat all the time, and I use a microwave, so it's not a big deal for me.
No, I'll say in order, like, mealtime is like the place where people congregate the most to have communication and dialogue. And that's why family meals, which we're terrible about in our house, but family meals are actually really vital to having a healthy family unit, because that is the one place where like everybody's supposed to come together to unite, to talk, to share feelings. That's like the safe zone is supposed to be like your family table, that comforting meal
Hmm.
that you sit down and eat. And that's where you get a lot of those feelings out. How was your day? Talking with kids, that sort of thing. So even if it's just like you and your spouse or you and your partner, it's really, in my opinion, it's really important to have that time to sit together and share a meal. I mean, you look throughout history, the Bible always talks about splitting bread with people, or however, breaking bread with people. Throughout, throughout time, that's people came together around a campfire, share a meal. Vikings, longhouses, everybody came into the longhouse, share a meal. Like, the meal is like the center. It is the glue that keeps your family together. As soon as you take out that aspect of sitting together in a meal, where's your connection?
But in today's world, I don't see that happening as often.
It
I
doesn't.
see people. We talked about earlier about fast. We did a
Mhm.
podcast how everybody's in a hurry, and so nobody does sit down like they used to and have a family meal together, et cetera, et cetera. So, is what you're saying really that important? Do you think,
I think it is. I think that's where a lot
or
of
is that just maybe like from your perspective because you're a traditionalist?
I wasn't always a traditionalist.
No, she's right.
But-
I mean,
I
common
mean, women
sense-
are always right. We know that.
No, well, common sense says the more time you spend together, the
Mhm.
more communication you have, the more you know
Yes.
what's going on in each other's day.
Yes.
And if you don't,
So in
have
your
that-
household, that's what's up. Then is that what?
Well,
is that
no,
what
I
I'm
mean,
hearing?
I'd love to say we sit down for every meal, but we don't. But when we do, that does happen. So
Interesting.
it's obvious it happens when you do it. But you're right. I mean, my daughter, good grief. I mean, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, sometimes it's McDonald's. So
Yeah,
they
sounds like
eat out
me.
all the time. But part of that is their living situation. The other part is their how their
Time
life
constraints.
and time is
Mhm.
set up. And that's actually about to change. They're getting ready to move into a bigger home that has actually a dining room because they don't have a table to sit at.
Okay.
So they're gonna have a dining room table now in 2 weeks, and a kitchen. So maybe they'll eat a little more at home. We'll see.
We'll
It's
see,
hard.
said the blind man as he picked up his tools and walked away.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're supposed to
Yeah.
laugh at
Huh?
that.
Huh?
You
Yeah.
love my dry humor.
What?
Come on.
Hello?
Hello. Kokomo.
I think that communication is very important. I mean,
Do what? What'd you say?
Huh?
Turn up your hearing
What?
aid.
Right? I know he's getting old, man.
Yeah, I am old. What do
Old
you mean getting
man?
old?
Old man.
It's all right.
He'd still whoop my ass.
Hey, I'm old too. You'll find out here in a
He,
minute.
he's
I have some
not
company.
old. He's not
Yeah.
old.
Go ahead.
Old at heart, man.
She's
Go
the
ahead.
young head.
So I think that communication is very important. I've only been in a relationship for about 3 years now. It's coming up on 3 years. And the first thing I told her, I said, the biggest thing is communication. For me, if I can talk to you without having to beat around the bush, then that's how
Good
I want
point.
it.
I
That's
like
how I
that.
want it to be. Same with her. I've had people beat around the bush with me my entire life.
Yeah.
Be straight up.
Hit
Be
it head
straight-
on.
Yes, be straightforward with me.
Yes.
I'm gonna respect the hell out of you.
I agree with
a lot
that.
more if you're like straightforward than you're like trying to like get to your point in a roundabout way.
I like
that's not
that. Just
respectful.
get it out on the table and deal with it,
Exactly.
right? What do you think,
Exactly.
Michelle?
Oh, I would say yes, but I am a beat around the bush person.
You
I
are?
hate conflict.
You don't strike me as that.
Oh, I hate conflict. I hate if I know I'm going to ask Jeremy something that could ruffle feathers, like it is, I don't want to do it, and I will hint at it as much as
That's
possible
my-
for
that's-
him to figure it
I'm
out. Because
surprised.
That's
You
I
don't
don't-
strike me as that kind of person.
well, now you'd have to take a step back into how like our marriage started, and it was full blown arguments. He'd walk out of the house. I mean, it was
Really?
bad. It would be me and like my stepson.
Well, it sounds like maybe he's got a temper.
He used to. And it was it was a big temper, and I didn't not like I handled myself any better. I'd yell right back. I'd get in his face. He'd get in my, like it was
Stood up for yourself.
Wow.
to an extent. I was not a fair fighter at all. And neither was
Oh.
he. Like we would hit each other
Really?
as low as we could. Like it became It was bad. I mean, it was bad, but I think that is the key also. And that's why I said the first 10 years of marriage is really learning how to communicate and how to argue fairly and how to listen. Like,
So if you guys were fighting that much, what was the allure? Why even stay together?
well, because we made a commitment. I made a commitment. When I said my wedding vows,
So
I meant them.
regardless.
Yes. I mean, it is
That's interesting.
till death do us part. That's what I said. That is what, I mean, that is not only legal, that was also like spiritually based.
Interesting.
I'm going to stick with that. That is my commitment. Now, if he's ready to go ahead and let go, that's his own choice, but I wasn't going to.
Interesting.
So I made the point. I stepped back and I said, okay, this isn't going well. I need to look at what I'm doing and fix what my problem with it, and then be able to tell him like, hey, this is how I'm going to handle it. What are you going to do? And then he would take his step, and then I'd take my step. And then slowly now we're finally at a place where we're both kind of stepping at the same time.
Wow.
And kind of helping
Sounds
each
like
other
a lot of work
along.
to me.
Oh, it is a lot.
Yeah, it is. But
So if
it's worth
that's
it.
the
It is
case,
worth it.
let's
worth it.
weigh it out. Then, if that's the case, why is marriage that important other than children?
Well, we're pack animals.
I don't
We're
think
pack
that
creatures.
Wait a minute now. We're
Ch-
pack.
ch-
What is a pack? What's the definition of a pack animal?
children are not the number one reason for marriage. I'm saying that right now.
Well, I'm
We'll
just
get back to it.
asking.
We'll get back to it. Go ahead.
Yes.
What is a pack animal?
Well, a pack like your lions, wolves, elephants, giraffes, zebras. I mean, pretty much all mammals are primarily in a unit of some kind.
Okay, but a unit's not the same thing as tolerating somebody that you can't stand
Well-
and staying with them because I made a commitment
it's not
and I don't care how bad it gets. I'm going to stick it out.
It's not
I don't really
about-
understand that personally.
Well, no,
I
it-
watched my parents be married for 50 years and they fought every single day, and I'm not going to do that.
no.
That's not worth it to me.
Well, that's
I
what.
So
agree.
commitment or no commitment.
We're agreeing with you. But
I'm not asking you to agree with me. I'm just stating my opinion.
No, I know. But like, that's the thing. Like, we all understand where you're coming from, but I guess the best way to put it is like with my relationship, we know that.
But you get along with your
Yes,
mate.
but there's times.
She's talking about like fighting.
But there are
But-
times. Go ahead.
No, I think what she's trying to say is I think they recognized that they had a lot to learn, and there is a maturity that has to take place.
Well, then
and it
maybe
doesn't
people
happen
should spend more
overnight.
time before they get married,
Well,
working through before they get
that
married.
Is, but that's after the fact. That's you can say
Hindsight's
that.
always
I'm just
20/20.
suggesting maybe that's a
You
better
can-
formula.
Well, maybe it is, but the good news is they made the commitment. Now she said, "I'm going to stick it out." Now, what she meant by that was, "I'm going to stick it out as long as I don't get beaten or
Yeah.
punched in the face or shot at."
So if you
I mean,
get beaten in
if,
the-
if she's in fear for her life, she's not going to stick it out.
I see a lot of people do stick it out
She's
and
not
not
gonna do
leave,
it.
and that's codependency. And now that's a whole nother world.
That's what my.
What's up with codependency? Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, depends on how extreme your dependence is. I think that we're all kind of naturally. Ooh, that's a close one. Hey, don't touch
funny.
that. Come here. I think that
Technical difficulties.
yeah.
Yes.
Technical
Real iffy.
difficulties. You're good. And now it's time for our ad break.
No.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, I think that oh man. 'cause
Just spit it out, Michelle.
I know, I'm beating
Come
around
on.
the bush again.
Yeah,
like,
beating around
I'm
the bush.
dependent
Spit
on-
it out.
I'm dependent on my husband just as much as my husband is
That's a
dependent
different
on
kind
me.
of. That's not
But that's
codependency.
that to me
No.
that fits more.
I'm talking about
codependent.
codependency where you can't live without the other person, regardless.
Oh,
And I
okay.
see this every day, all day long, and it's
Okay,
and
those
it's
are
not
just words.
it is not healthy for people to be with each other when they're not
Yeah.
benefiting from each other. It is not healthy when you're being beaten down and told that you're not any good and told that you're
I don't think that's codependency.
I'm telling you what happens in codependency. I see it all day long,
Hey.
where people, one mate or the other, is critical of the other mate, puts them down to the point where they have no self-image left at all, and they still stay with that person. That is not healthy. You have to get away from that person if it's that bad. You can. It's no point in
Well,
being with them.
or you try to repair or fix.
Well, you can't repair
Why-
something
reach out, get
without some outside
counseling.
support.
Yes.
Yeah, you need outside support, and you need to also kind of look at and recognize, like, why is that person being that way?
I'll
Like-
tell you why. You want to know why? Because the other person has such low self-esteem. Only the way they feel better is to be critical of somebody else. And the most convenient person is their mate.
Yes.
And that's wrong. And I
It is
see it
wrong.
all the time.
And
it's
that's how
terrible.
Jeremy and I were at first.
That's terrible.
It was awful.
You got to stand up for yourself.
Well, and
And
I
be
had
proud of yourself.
Yep, I had
she
to learn
wants
that.
to say something.
Yes, she would really like to chime in here.
What's her name?
This is Cassidy.
Cassidy.
Hi, Cassidy.
Thanks for your comments, Cassidy.
Yeah.
Nice,
We appreciate
nice
it.
to meet you today.
I'll say this is Cassidy. She likes to pretend that she is shy. She is not. And then that's Finnick. He's
not shy at all.
no.
So yeah, Ron, I think
I like your
we
name,
all
Finnick.
agree that
I like that.
yeah, some people are in that situation, and it isn't.
It's
healthy.
not some, it's a lot.
I don't know about that.
I study this all day long.
The-
I'm
the
telling you,
people that
it's
I'm
a big
around-
problem.
Okay, studies are different than seeing it in a
I
real
study
world
it- I
situation. I
study
see
it-
a lot of healthy relationships on a daily basis.
Yes, there are, but I'm
I
saying it's
see
an
more
epidemic.
healthy than not.
It's a
healthy.
big problem.
I agree with that.
I think I think domestic abuse both ways is a very big problem in our culture right now. I think women have become very emotionally and mentally manipulative of their partners and of men
Yes,
in general.
Yes.
And as a woman, I think I can say that.
And
Women, stop it.
it
It's
goes-
not a good quality.
Let me back up a second.
It goes both ways.
Let me,
It
back,
does.
let, me back- let me go back around the circle here. Here's what I think happens. I think relationships are by and large based initially on physical attraction. And then once you get into the meat and potatoes of everything, you find out what's really going on. By then you're addicted to the person, you're in trouble, you can't leave, you're codependent.
Addiction.
Because you don't want to be alone, which is a problem. You have to learn to be comfortable in your own skin. People don't want to do that. They don't want to face their own insecurities. They don't want to face their own trouble. You have to look in the mirror every day and accept who you are. And if you don't like something, you better damn well try to figure out how to improve it. If you want to have a successful life, that's my opinion.
That's what I'm wondering.
Go check that.
Okay, so here's the deal. I think relationships, a really good relationship, should be based on respect. Not about physical attraction, not about what you can do for me. I respect you for who you are as a person. You
I
respect
agree.
me the same way. And then those are healthy relationships.
I would agree.
And that should be the goal.
I would agree. I would agree with
Glad
that.
somebody
but
agrees with me.
well, okay. The thing is, like, it's hard because I'm not saying this in a bad way, but with three people that are in, I would say, long-term relationships, and then someone who has been in long-term relationships, but you're not in one right now. I think things have changed over the past.
Wait a minute, I
couple
have a lot of
years.
relationship. We're not talking about just romantic relationships
No,
or
I know.
marriage. We're talking about friendship
Even friendships
relationships
as well. I agree. I would agree
Yes.
with that.
And it should be based on
Respect.
Thank
yes,
you.
Yes.
And the friendships that I have are based on respect,
Yep.
respect. You don't see me
I-
hanging out with people very long that I don't respect.
True.
That are
I
users.
agree.
You can't be around those.
Manipulators.
Yes, but we all fall into that trap.
I think respect is a big part of it, but there's a lot of other things too.
Okay, like
Well, communication. Go back there. You got to have communication. There
yeah,
has to be
but
respect. There has to be things that you guys enjoy doing together. If I told my wife I was going deer hunting, all the time, and she hates deer hunting, I wouldn't go all the time.
she probably would
I
divorce
would
you.
respect her, and I would say, "Hey, I'm gonna not go all the time. I'm gonna go a little bit, but not all the time."
You know why most women won't divorce the men? It's money. Because they don't have the means to support themselves. But now, with women being more independent and working, like more women are,
I think
They're-
in
they're more
today's
likely
day, I
to get
disagree
out.
with that. Yeah,
Statistically speaking, most women today that have higher paying jobs and are in marriages are more unhappy than women that are in like my position, being like a stay at home mom, low income with a husband. When you look at the statistics of it, and I don't remember where I read the study, I'll have to go look at it again. But women in higher paying jobs tend to be more unhappy. And
really,
it's
why would they be unhappy?
because they're not. You're kind of going against your biological.
Oh, I see.
Want.
Tradition.
I mean, to a sense, yes, tradition, but also like there's like baby fever is a thing. Like biologically, like
What does baby fever
oh,
mean?
baby fever? That's
Explain
when
this to me.
It is a thing that happens to women, especially when you get to that age where it's very common to start having babies.
Oh.
When you see other women with babies, you start to feel empty.
Oh.
And I think some women decide to go ahead and have those families. And I think some women try to push it down and go ahead with their careers. And I think it's whatever choice is yours and you're happy. But I think that there's a reason. They call it baby fever.
Wow.
I think it's just
Never heard that.
that biological crave to have children, to fill your womb. And I am a person that when I first got married, I didn't care to have kids. I was happy having a stepson. I wanted to be a stepmom. I wanted
Yeah.
motorcycle trips every weekend. I wanted to have that lifestyle. We could grow and do whatever we wanted, didn't have to be tied down with kids. And then we got surprised with our first one, or my first one, and it was like everything changed after that. I kind of wanted to go back to college, but then I was like, I really want to be home with my
With
son.
the kids, yeah.
I don't really want to wake up at 5 a.m. to go to work. I want to watch my son's first steps. Like that became more of what I wanted. And that's where Jeremy's and my disconnect really started happening because he had it in his mind, 2-income household. You have to have 2 incomes to
Okay.
make it work.
He expected you to work for
He wanted me to work
make
and
money.
be mom. And that, to me, I couldn't do both.
It's tough.
It was
That would
hard.
be hard.
Oh,
I'm gonna
Chime
say I'm gonna say that I hate kids personally. Like in my own
Dang.
feeling. I love
I
other
get it.
people's kids.
It's pretty harsh.
I could never ever see myself having a kid because my girlfriend's in a doctorate program and she wants to help kids. That's how her form of helping, like
Yeah.
having kids. And for me, I'm okay with that. Like I'm going to get into my career. Both of us are way too selfish to have another life depend on us. And we also grew up in really shitty situations for like hindsight in the sense of looking back on it. It was a lot shittier than it was when we were in it. And we would hate to do that to a child.
But that's assuming that you would fail as a parent. And you can't go into something
right, I
assuming that you're
agree.
going to fail.
I agree, but I'm okay.
Look, and you know what? You're a great guy.
Well, thank you.
And
Now, that's just a matter. That's a matter of
and,
opinion.
and because you recognize this situation and you understand it, you actually would make
Mm-hmm.
a great parent. And here's why: because you've lived life one way that you didn't like, and you'll make sure this life is not that way.
Right.
I speak from experience. I've got 2 kids. I've got 2 grandkids, one on the way. And in February, I'll be married 37 years.
Oh my
And
goodness.
what I look at it like, I look at it as like a chapters in a book.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have kids, you'll be fine and it'll be okay. But you will miss out on a chapter of life that you could have experienced. And you wouldn't believe how much I've learned and how a better person I've become over the years because of my kids.
Well,
I'd rather just have a puppy.
not to disagree with you, with you, but I think monogamy is for the birds. I think it's just not the way we are as human beings. I think we're made for many mates, not just one. I think that came along somewhere along the way with religion and maybe venereal disease, where you had to have one mate in order not to spread diseases. And they wrapped it around the blanket of religion. It's my opinion.
And you look at history, whenever you start seeing them allowing like more than one wife, that's when you see cultures start breaking down and
I don't agree with
deteriorating.
that. If you read the Bible, how many wives did they have back in those days?
Yeah, and
They had
look,
4 or
are
5
they
wives.
those empires still up? No,
It's
they
not-
they
those,
crumbled.
Those weren't empires. Those
You
were
know,
families.
You know,
Even families, they crumbled.
And I don't agree with that.
Go ahead,
Well,
Brent.
I'll throw you for a doozy here in a minute,
All
though.
civilizations crumble eventually.
Eventually.
I'll tell you something.
Has nothing to do with monogamy.
I'll tell you something.
Monogamy's for the birds.
It's a lot easier
It's my
to
opinion.
go through life. Life throws you challenges, curveballs all the time. And it's so much easier to go through with a partner.
Mhm.
You call it whatever you want, a husband, wife, partner, he, she, whatever. You go through life with a partner to share,
I agree.
and you deal with these struggles, and whether it's financial or it's career or it's kids or it's food, whatever it is.
I see where you're coming
you
from.
share these responsibilities, and when one person takes on the burden for everything, and I've seen you, I mean, you wake up in the morning, get the kids ready, to get them off to school, go to work. I mean, it's easier with a partner.
Mhm.
It
Well,
really
that's fine, but
is.
I don't think you should have. I think you should have multiple romantic partners. I think it's a myth to think you're going to be satisfied sexually with one partner for your whole. I don't believe it.
Let's define
It's
romantic.
just not going to. Well, romantic is having intimate sex,
Is it?
and
Okay.
and I don't think that you're going to ever find that with one person for 45, 50 years. I'm sorry.
I like for me romantic.
But maybe most men don't have that
romantics.
drive as they get older. Maybe that's the way you're supposed to be biologically. I've not experienced
Or
that.
maybe nowadays women are just killing it for men.
Maybe you're right. Maybe that's why we have these podcasts, to get all kinds of opinions out
Well,
there.
there's an
and
increase
explain ourselves to
in
people.
single men. Women have taken the responsibility from men in relationships. They've taken the responsibility of taking the kids, not holding men accountable. It is cheaper and easier for a man to stay single and work a mediocre job and live on his own than it is to have a wife and kids and do the whole shebang. Women have made it easier for men to not have to do those things.
Interesting.
In my opinion, reading the things that I read, the studies that I have seen, that seems to be a very common occurrence, is an increase in men living alone. And there are higher rates of depression, higher rates of male suicide. They're increasing every year.
Suicide and depression has nothing to do with that.
What?
Suicide.
Hold on.
First of all, most depression comes from chemical imbalance. It is not from environmental issues. Most of the time, people don't kill themselves because they're unhappy with their mate. They often kill themselves because they are chemically depressed and they've never found a solution. We talked about that at the last podcast.
Yes, we've talked about this, and I think, remember, there's a lot of gray area.
There are suicides from, yes, I'm sad, I'm going to kill myself.
Yes,
but
there's
that's
also
not the usual.
fulfillment is being able to have and feeling like you are fulfilling your life,
that you did the right thing,
and that you've done the right things, and that you have done all this. And
Well,
part of
that's
that,
true.
and learning how to balance that, learning how to balance those chemical imbalances. Women get them too. You've got, hormones. You're going to hit ups, you're going to hit downs, and it is
Yes.
easier to have a person. In my opinion, once again, my opinion, it's easier to have that person that is going to sit there next to you and be like, "Hey, you're acting fucking crazy right now. I need you to tone it back a minute."
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
there's been many
Yep.
times that Jeremy has looked at me and been like, "Hey, the kids are out of the room. I need you to take it from up here and I need you to bring it back down here because you sound like a crazy lady." And then there's moments where he comes in and the kids have left the room and I'm like, "Hey, you're an asshole right now. I need
Yeah.
you to stop because your kids sense it. I sense it. You're bristling like a bear. Either get out of the house or find a way to calm down."
And that's how it is, even in just like a regular young relationship, in the sense of, I feel like I'm not doing shit for the day or something, and she's
Mhm.
like, "Are you kidding me?
Mhm.
You did this today," and I'm like, "Oh, you're right," Or if she's not talking, which is way not like her, I'm just like, "What's wrong with you?"
Mm-hmm.
You got to straight up ask, and like Brenda was saying, going through life with a partner is a huge deal. I think.
Well, I hate to
that-
break the news to you, but most people only make it 8 years. That's the average marriage. How do you respond to that?
I
Or
respond.
you just get another partner, and then another 8 years you get another partner.
There are people
another
that
8 years you
do.
get another partner. Is that your solution?
No,
Going through life with multiple partners, not just one.
no, my
Because that's the reality, my friend. You need to face reality. That's reality.
Sometimes-
most relations only last 7 to 8 years, marriage or not. I'm talking about romantic relationships.
I understand, but I'm saying that sometimes
Brent's exception to the rule.
There's a lot of
She's an exception to the rule at 9 years.
my grandparents are an exception to
I'll
that.
My
say-
parents were too, but I'm telling you, it's waning and less.
It is, and I think it's sad because I think there is an importance and a focus that we are missing and I think it's a cultural thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is a big culture thing. And I think when you start losing the ability to have solid relationships with people, have solid marriages, you're going to start seeing more and more, and we're seeing it now. You're seeing more and more breaking down of the family unit.
Yes.
You're seeing crime rates rise. You're seeing drugs rise. You're seeing more mental health issues at a younger age. And I think it all stems from people being, and I'm going to say it, weak individuals who are not able to sustain their own marriages.
What about
and looking
homosexual marriages with children where they adopt? What about that? How does
Well,
that work out for the kid?
that's a whole
I'm just
other.
curious.
No, I get it. That's a whole other topic that has a whole other list.
But
of
it's about
things.
relationships. We're talking about relationships. What about that relationship?
I don't know enough about those relationships to have much of an opinion.
Should,
I would
should
assume
a religion put a
What do they have?
cahoots on that?
She's got a heater, but it's unplugged.
Should religion mandate that you cannot have a male partner instead of a female partner?
No.
Is that right?
I don't think
But there's
that's
a lot
right.
of religious people out there that believe that, and they think that's a God mandate.
Well, and that's their.
I don't think God's like that.
No, I think that's their opinion. I think that there's a lot of things that religiously, I think that get skewed for specific purposes. And I'm one of those people. I'm like, you're gonna love who you love, whatever. That's great. I think as long as you're not like trying, and it comes to really, like, if you're going to look at it for like kids, I think as long as you're not trying to manipulate a child out of their natural way, like I'm not going to take him and try
What
to
does a
change him.
heterosexual child think about a homosexual couple
I-
when they grow up? Does it influence them, or is it
Yeah.
all biological?
I think that's a 50-50.
I don't think so. I think you're born that way, or you're not born that way. I don't think you can convert to homosexuality if you're heterosexual.
I think you can.
I think it's possible, but it's highly unlikely.
I think it's more likely than what you realize, and I
that
think
we
people
should
lie to
change the
themselves.
subject.
No, I think we should stay on the subject.
I just don't think a lot of people agree with you, Ron.
Well, that's fine. They don't have to agree with me.
I agree. I know.
That's
Yeah.
what the podcasts are for.
Oh, it
is
is.
to incite, interest and to just share ideas.
Well, and this is a really hot topic right now. Like you're pushing up a tree that's
I like
right
to push
now.
buttons. I want to hear people's opinion. I want people to call in and write in and
and whatever.
let us know how they feel about all these topics, because people don't want to talk about things that are uncomfortable. I believe in talking about things that are uncomfortable, facing everything head on, point blank, and get it on the table and work through it, massage it, and get some solutions, or agree to disagree.
Massage it.
Yeah.
Some Wagyu beef.
Oh,
Yeah,
that is
I
good.
know I know you're going down a different road, but I did want to share one thing.
Yes, sir.
Before it ends, in the relationship world, the marriage, when it crumbles, can cause catastrophic things, not only for the kids, but for the two individuals that got divorced, but also business. I had a client that I worked with for 5 years that built a business, multi-million-dollar business, cranking. I mean, he could not come in for a week and it still made money. And man, when he decided to pull the trigger and get divorced, or they both did, they both stopped showing up because they were both actively involved in the business, and that thing was out of business in
Wow.
4.5, maybe 5 months.
From
And
that's horrible.
it was they racked up debt of probably close to $500,000 and filed bankruptcy.
But
Wow.
got divorced.
But they
After
were
all that
making
success.
millions?
They weren't making millions. It was a multi-million.
But after all that
company.
success-
Okay.
It was running well. My point is, when a relationship crashes, it can cause. There's all kinds of fallout it can cause.
Everything
it can cause
else.
not only do the kids are part of
Mhm.
that. That's a whole nother conversation. But business wise, it can wreck a business that was just going along just fine.
It's the first
And if he
domino.
would have just said, "Hey, somebody else take the steering wheel and run this thing," I'm going to go over here and get divorced. Why burn it to the ground? Because I mean, there
Okay.
were 8 or 10 employees that had families that lost jobs.
Sure. So we're getting ready to wrap this podcast up because we've probably bored people already enough. But so now it's commercial time.
Hit the jingle.
Yeah. So our sponsor is Soar High Industries and America's Same Day Service. We are branding 2 different brands in this atmosphere. One is Same Day Service, and we have a local repair service in Springfield, Missouri. We have a national repair service, America's Same Day Service. You can go to our website, samedayservice.com, and see all the different services that we offer the public. And we also have a retail used appliance store in Springfield, Missouri, if you happen to be in that part of the world. And Soar High Industries is all about jiu-jitsu. We have Soar High Jiu-Jitsu, which is in Springfield, Missouri. You can go to our, we don't have a website, but we have a Facebook page, Soar High Jiu-Jitsu. And of course, this is Soar High Personal Development, which we're about 6 months in now to our podcasts. And we're developing a full-blown company. At some point, we'll have live events. We're going to have downloads, probably going to have a subscription-based business eventually, audiobooks, et cetera, anything that we can do to help people to get through the day and feel better about themselves and give them some kind of a guideline and outline to improve their lives and go forward and realize, hey, you're going to have trouble every day, guys. It's not like life isn't that way. You got to be realistic.
Roses and dandelions.
Yeah, that's right. The key is to be able to handle pressure and not think that you're not going to have pressures and disappointments and struggles every day, because you are.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why we created this business, Soar High Personal Development, which is in its infancy, but it's on the move. And then we have Soar High Records / Entertainment, which Davin's our producer. We have artists, of course, that he produces, live music. We're going to have live music, Soar
This
High Live,
podcast.
at some time here in the near future.
Lots of
And
things.
you go to Spotify and Amazon Music and hear our different artists and stream, et cetera, et cetera. So that's our commercial break. Anybody have any last minute thoughts?
Let's
on
go around the
subject?
table. We'll have
You
our
guys can start.
we'll have Michelle end it. We'll have Michelle.
Oh God, I don't
So,
have to end it.
No, we want you to.
anything.
Well, we
anything.
didn't get
You're our
into
special guest.
relationships, friendships, or business relationships because those are key when you're trying to grow your business or help someone grow their business. So I mean, this could have gone
I also
on for weeks.
I think
Uh,
that could help in a romantic relationship as well. Like you're really close to like your buddy.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I just think she hit it the nail on the head from the very beginning. Man, communication is key.
I agree.
And I do agree with you, Ron. Respect is a big part of it.
Thank you, sir.
I'm
Mr.
gonna
Devin Hunley with an eye.
run right off of that. Respect is probably the number one thing, as well as communication. Like without one, you don't have the other, and without the other, you don't have.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just I learned that really, really quickly as an adult, like in my adult
Are
life.
you an adult?
I would say so. I
You
mean,
kind of look like
Sometimes.
a kid.
yeah, sometimes I'm an adult,
But
sometimes I'm a kid.
I don't know how old you are, but your brain isn't fully developed until like after the age of 25.
That's
Yeah,
interesting.
I just turned 24, so
Yeah,
I'm
see, you're not-
I'm not an adult.
Man,
I'm not
you're
an
gonna
adult,
be
but-
super smart because wow, yeah, that's
Mhm.
awesome.
Are you saying I'm smart right now?
Well, I don't know. I was gonna say something else, but
You seem like you have a good, solid foundation of which
Yes,
you are
you
built
do.
off of.
Well,
That.
thank you.
you're an
I would
old
say-
soul.
Hi, what are you?
Well,
eating?
that's good. I love our other special guests that have been around today.
Yes.
Thanks
I
for
love
letting
that.
them join.
Of course.
It's my posse.
Hey,
Is
that's
that-
all right.
I don't know what you're eating.
Yeah.
I
fun.
hope it's Ron.
It's-
We're getting sued.
That would not surprise me. Michelle, what do
No.
you got to say?
No, I would just agree. I mean, communicating is probably the biggest thing in relationships, and having mutual respect is another big one. Learning how to fight fair, learning how to take criticism. I mean, you got to be able to sit there and take it as much as you're willing to dish it out. Like
No-
that's any relationship.
Know that you're not perfect. Don't you may go into any relationship,
Don't pop my bubble, please.
friendship or anything like that, and you're like, I'm perfect. I've got an ego. Blah blah blah. That relationship is gonna knock you down a couple pegs.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Be okay with it. If you really like that person, be okay with it.
I always ask my friend. I'm like, hey, whenever she asks me
You
a
have a
question,
friend?
I do. I know it's weird.
Don't
I have
listen
friends.
to him.
Pretty
But
crazy.
I tell her, because she'll ask me a question and I'll be like, I'm like, okay, do you want my opinion? Do you want like the truth? Are you wanting me to make you feel better?
Do you
Like,
want me to
tell
be your
me,
friend?
tell me what exactly you're wanting to hear. Because if you're not wanting to hear the truth, then go ahead and tell me now, because you're probably not going to like it. And I think being able to have friendships and just any relationship
Mhm.
where you can say that, hey, you're probably not going to like the truth. I think that's a good way to start those and learning how to have that communication with somebody.
I would put honesty up there with respect and communication.
Mhm.
Ah, I
as
like
well.
that.
You've got to be honest with
Yep.
yourself and with your
Yeah.
partner, whether it's a relationship or a friendship.
Okay, guys, we'll wrap it up by saying just remember that if you don't give up, the stars will always line up. So until next time, stay positive.